The camera technology has been changing rapidly with time. With the advent of mirrorless technology, many camera features have gone through significant change, and viewfinder is one of them. We are already familiar with the traditional optical viewfinders that come with DSLRs. But mirrorless cameras usually come with an electronic viewfinder, which is gradually getting popular among photographers. But how do these two types of viewfinders differ from each other? In today's video, we are going to talk about exactly this very topic. So without any further ado, let's jump in.
At Camera Zone, our mission is to provide the most reliable updates of photography and cinematography gear, including expert opinion based on their performance and value.
It is particularly important for photographers to know beforehand how their final image is going to look. Optical viewfinders gives you an unfiltered and unaltered representation of the view as you compose your image. Watching through an optical viewfinder is the same as watching through a window. However, it is not as fancy as it sounds because you don't get to see how the final image would look like, and thus leaving you on guesses. Besides, suppose you don't have a good understanding of metering modes and the way they might affect your exposure. In that case, chances are your images would be either too bright or too dark, and this situation is further worsened if there's a lot of highlight and shadow elements in the scene. Moreover, if you change any setting before clicking, you can get a real-time view in the OVF. On the other hand, an electronic viewfinder is the same as watching an LCD screen where you get a digital view of the scene. So it is not how you see the world, rather it is more of how the camera sees the scenery with its sensors, and therefore you are able to see a variety of information that you can get with an optical viewfinder. In short, EVFs simplify much of the guesswork associated with OVFs. Besides, an EVF gives you a real-time view of the exposure levels so that you can tweak it according to your preference before clicking the shutter button. This also eliminates the need for adjusting your light meter on guesses to get the right exposure. In addition to that, you also get to see the real-time changes that you make. This is particularly handy if you are a new photographer. A good click largely depends on indicators and information shown on the viewfinder. You will find those indicators, framing guides, and focus points in almost all the optical viewfinders. To give you a good sense of where your focusing points are, the optical viewfinder shows you a square or dot if you hold down the shutter button so that you can change it if you need. Although those frames and guides are useful, they are more like static overlays. On the contrary, electronic viewfinders can display more useful information such as digital level and histogram, along with other features like exposure and metering information. Besides, many cameras with top-notch EVFs offer zooming in a specific part of your footage to let you check whether you have accurately set the focus. It also lets you access menus, review pictures, and even record and review movie footage you have captured. You can't get these features on an OVF. As mentioned earlier, optical viewfinders aren't much of an electronic device. Instead, they are made using the natural phenomenon of light reflection and consequently gives you a natural view. For this reason, they are not affected by color rendition or screen refresh rates and gives you a more natural look with actual color in both bright light and low light situations. Now if we take a look at the electronic viewfinder, they simply can't match the color range provided by OVFs. Besides, EVFs have to deal with screen refresh rate issues, which means it is going to lag in case of fast-moving objects. On top of that, most of the EVFs are of lower resolutions, meaning you will get less sharper view than an OVF. Another issue is it is a little hard to see through your EVF on a bright sunny day. And if you use sunny mode as the solution, you will end up shooting underexposed images, as this feature increases the brightness of your EVF and you can't see how your final image would look like. If you are shooting a fast-paced scene, a real-time view is vital. As OVFs are made based on the theory of reflection of light, there is no delay between what you see and what you shoot. However, in the case of an EVF, the light enters the sensor and is then converted into an electrical signal. Following that, the signal reaches the viewfinder, where it is again converted into an image. All these processes need time, and this creates a difference between what you see through an EVF and what you capture. This difference is particularly noticeable when you are shooting an object which is also changing its position with time. Though this issue was almost solved by Sony when they came up with their Alpha A9, which substantially eliminates real-time buffer issue, still, EVFs are not quite on par with optical viewfinders in this regard. Photographers usually take several images of a single scene. This is where continuously watching your scene becomes important. With the optical viewfinder, you can't see your image while clicking, and this is commonly known as viewfinder blackout. Technically speaking, when you click the shutter button, the mirror that stands in front of the camera sensor lifts up so that light can go through the sensor, leaving OVF pitch black. It is a problem when you are shooting moving objects, as they continuously change positions with time, and because of viewfinder blackout, you might miss an important moment. On the other hand, high-end mirrorless cameras like Sony A9 have zero blackouts, meaning you never lose sight of your subject and focus on them continuously. When you are shooting outside, you would want to take a camera that can shoot more pictures per charge. In that case, cameras with OVFs will serve your purpose more efficiently, as they need very minimal battery power. Even if you turn your camera off, you can still see through your OVF. On the other hand, an EVF needs processes like converting lights into electrical signals, which require power. Moreover, EVF itself is an LCD screen that lives on your battery. Thus, it goes without saying that if you use an EVF, your battery will drain more quickly. So clearly, both of these viewfinders are good performers with their own pros and cons, and that ensures none of them are going to vanish from our cameras anytime soon. EVFs have certain benefits on OVFs in terms of zero blackouts, real-time view of final output, and so on. But again, an OVF saves your battery and gives you a more sharper view. As mirrorless cameras are taking over DSLRs, we can assume that EVF will come up with more advanced features to minimize their quirks. If we missed out on something and you think there is a benefit to one or the other, please leave it down below in the comment section.
Thanks for watching. We always crave to learn more. If you think we missed a product or another needed to add, we'd love to hear yours.